Hello my friends, welcome, and welcome also to the very first day of spring 2023. I'm calling this little project Little Birdie, and it's my contribution to spring and Easter, and I hope you find it inspiring. It mainly uses soft pastels and a number of small stamps. Without further ado though, let's have a look at the other materials used. First up, it's Versifying Clair in Nocturne, Rainforest and Shady Lane, and I think also use a yellow. I'm also using some watercolours today to create a base layer. Any watercolours will do. I've used my Jane Davenport set there for the nice bright colours. Also using set 2 of the watercolour pencils for some colouring later. And the project primarily uses the soft pastels, and they are the Towson Dior Extra Soft, and I love these because they're very pigmented and very soft. So you can see the sort of colours I've used there, and to complement them I'm also using some paint pens, mainly Posco pens in pinks and blues, yellows and so forth. Also using ultramarine marine blue tint and magenta tint in the pan pastels, and I'm spraying everything with hairspray. You can also use fixative. Also white gesso and a few pens, the white gel pen, the black Stabilo All, water brush, etc. A few paint brushes. I've got a 16 round for watercolour and a few finer ones as well. Water spray, and also masking sheets to create a mask for the hair, and the watercolour card, which is cold pressed from Lavinia stamps, and my stamping platform. Now the stamps, you can see I've got the birch and the small trees and lupin and lots of little stamps. I've got foliage, I've got one from the bird collection, leaves and all sorts of things, but we'll see how we build these up. And if you're interested in converting those to something like this, just keep on watching. As I say, you can use any watercolours for this step, and it's not actually a necessary step, but I used watercolours as a first layer, so to take away the white of the page. You can see here I'm putting in a line for roughly for the horizon and the type of shape I want for the foreground. And I'm spreading out a light layer of water, so this is a wet on wet technique. Starting off with blue, and I'll transition to pink and yellow. So essentially if you have a set with blue, pink, yellow, and later on a couple of greens, dark and light greens, that should be enough. And as you'll see, I'm just doing a rough layer, and the idea is that once this is dry, I will use it as a base layer to place my pastels on top to give them a little bit of grip. Now that that's all dry, I've decided to use my stamping platform because I really need precision for this step using Lupin, this stamp. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the image where I want it to be, and then I'm going to cover it with gesso so that I can have a clear base that isn't fettered by the background colours when I come to colour in the hair towards the end. And I'll be masking the image with a piece of masking sheet so that when I'm busy in the background doing all various different layers and so forth, it's not colouring in the focal image of the hair. So this is to protect it and also to provide a base layer of white to add the colour later on. Now it's the turn of the soft pastels, and I really do enjoy using these. And this project is really quite a messy, yes, but rough and more of an abstract type picture. I'm pulling out the colours that I need for the sky at the moment, and also a few for the foreground later on. And what I'm doing is my technique isn't, I'm not an expert, it is just how I operate with these, and I just add in the basic colours of where I want them to be, just very, very roughly, as you can see. And later then I'll blend them, and I will add some white because that helps to blend things together on top. There you are, as I'm adding the white. And I know it's quite difficult at times to build up layers where soft pastels are concerned, but I'm doing my best to see what happens when I blend them. And then what you'll see is me going over certain areas again with similar or the same colour, and basically making it up as I go along, hoping that I get a nice blend and it looks the way I want it to look in my head. Sometimes I overblend and have to reintroduce the colour again, but it's a bit of a dance going back and forward, adding in what I think looks good and making sure that things are blended and I have all the colours that I need as well. And I'm really mainly just using my finger. I do use, I think, in a wee while, an applicator of sorts, but that didn't turn out to be very good. So just if you're doing this, just use your finger. That's the best tool I find. In terms of the pastels, I'll see if I can put a link down below to a set, if I can find them. I did buy them a few years back on Amazon, and I just find these very soft and blendable. The pan pastel I love as well, and I've picked out a couple of colours for this picture. They're not absolutely necessary, I must say. You could still use whatever pastel sticks that you have, but yes, they're just very nice to use, and I always combine my pencils, my pan pastels and my sticks in the projects that I use, depending on the saturation of colour that I require, or just the colours themselves sometimes. The other thing to say is that you'll see that as the picture evolves, I go back and forth, not necessarily on camera. If something annoys me, I'll fix it, or I'll add in a little more colour. So don't be surprised if by the end it looks very different, particularly the sky, from when I first started. It's just a continual process really as I go along. And sometimes when you take a photograph of your work in progress, you can see what it looks like better than looking at it through your own eyes. And I do that sometimes and then think to myself, well, that needs fixed, or I need to add another colour into the mix, and that's how I go. Not all of these things, unfortunately, are captured on camera. So my advice is just to keep mixing until you're happy with it. The general idea is to have blue at the top with some little pink clouds and a few white clouds, and then we have the main sunrise or sunset in the centre. And I will mix in off camera, when I finish this part, some dark reds and oranges into the mix as well. Okay friends, so that's it. Now that the obligatory twinkle has been added, I really hope you enjoyed today's project as much as I enjoyed making it for you, and it's a taste of spring at last. Thank you so much to those of you who have made a super thanks donation, which really is appreciated by me. You can find the links below. Please, as usual, take very good care of yourselves. Until next time.